So, let's now talk about, since here na tayo sa assessment ng control risk, we will now proceed with the substantive testing. So, since at this moment, alam na kasi natin yung acceptable level of detection risk. So, alam na natin yung magiging nature, extent, and timing ng audit procedures. That's why we will now conduct substantive testing. So, ano po ba yung substantive test? So, sabi daw, when we talk about substantive test, these are the tests that are audit procedures designed to substantiate the account balances or to detect material misstatements in the financial statements. So, meron daw pong dalawang klase ng substantive test. So, we have analytical procedures and also the test of details. So, yung analytical procedures, katulad lang po yun ng preliminary analytical procedures kung saan tinitingnan natin yung fluctuations ng accounts. And usually po kasi, sa practice, kapag hindi naman masyadong material yung account, or meaning di ganun kataas yung risk for that certain account, parang sufficient na ang ginagawa lang natin is analytical procedures. Ano naman po yung test of details? So, yung test of details, mahati niya sa dalawa. We have test of details of balances, and then meron din pa tayong tinatawag na test of detail of transactions. So, parang ito na talaga yung pinaka-testing. So, for example, we need to test of balances. So, ibig sabihin lang po nun, ang tinetest natin is yung mga ending balances of account. So, usually, yung mga real accounts natin, we conduct test of detail of balances. So, for example, we will audit cash account. So, we need to audit or to ensure na tama yung ending balance ng cash natin. So, a part of test of detail of balances is confirmation. So, magsisend tayo ng bank confirmation para sa mga banks para ma-confirm natin kung tama ba yung ending balances ng cash. On the other hand, kapag naman sinabi natin test of details of transactions, it involves the testing ng mga transactions which give rise to the ending balance of an account. So, dito naman, ang tinitingnan natin, o yung tinitest natin is yung mga transactions itself. So, kapag na-check natin na tama yung mga transactions, so, may ensure natin na tama din yung magiging ending balances. So, usually, yung mga nominal or temporary accounts naman natin, yung ginagamitan natin ng test of detail of transactions. So, for example, mag-audit tayo ng revenue account. So, instead of ending balances, mas ino-audit natin yung mga revenue transactions that happen during the year. So, kapag nakita natin na tama lahat ng transactions, then it is safe to say na yung ending balance ng revenue is tama. So, in general, we will test of balances will be used when account balances are affected by large volume of relative immaterial transactions. So, mga example nga is cash, accounts receivable, and inventory. On the other hand, yung test of transactions naman po is useful if account balances are comprised of a smaller volume of transactions representing relatively material amounts. So, mga example nga naman po nito is yung mga stockholders' equity accounts natin. So, para malaman yung effectiveness of substantive test, so meron tayong tatlo. Yun nga po yung nature, timing, and extent. Pag sinabi natin nature, it relates to the quality of evidence. So, the auditor should determine the appropriate quality of evidence needed to support the desired level of detection risk. So, although the auditor would normally prepare high-quality evidence, it is important to realize that high-quality evidence would also involve high cost. So, punta naman tayo sa timing ng substantive test. So, balik lang tayo sa nature. Kaya nga, di ba, the more na mataas yung control or inherent risk, then mababa yung detection risk, yung nature will be more extensive. And kapag more extensive siya, kailangan more effective. So, kapag the more na effective yung audit procedures natin, aspect natin na mas mahal yung magiging cost na mai-incur natin. Unlike kapag less extensive or less effective yung magiging audit procedures. Paano naman pag timing of substantive test? So, substantive test may be performed at an interim date or at year end. So, kapag interim procedures are generally considered less effective due to incremental audit risk involved when auditing interim balances. That's why, kung maliit lang yung risk of material misstatement, then most probably, pwede tayo mag-conduct ng interim procedures. But, kapag naman mataas masyado yung risk of material misstatement natin, then we have no choice but to perform audit procedures at year-end. So, paano naman yung extent of substantive test? So, the extent of substantive test relates to the amount of evidence needed to satisfy a particular objective. So, kapag naman extent, gaano ba kadami yung magiging audit procedures natin? That's why, kapag mababa yung detection risk, so meaning, kailangan mas marami tayong samples na dapat i-audit para mas ma-ensure natin na talagang walang material misstatement. Unlike kapag mataas yung ating detection risk, since okay lang na magkaroon or mataas yung risk sa part natin na di natin ma-detect yung material misstatement, since mababa naman yung inherent tsaka control risk. So pag ganon, okay lang kahit medyo kontian na natin yung audit samples na i-audit or i-test natin. So, ano po ba yung relationship ng substantive test at test of controls? So, when we talk about test of controls, it provides evidence that indicates misstatement is likely to occur. On the other hand, when we talk about substantive test, it provides evidence about the existence of misstatement in the account balances. That's why, in expressing an opinion on the financial statements, the auditor relies on the effectiveness of the internal control to prevent material errors in the accounting process. And on substantive test naman, to verify the amounts in the financial statements. So that's why the result of test of control is a major factor in determining the nature, timing, and extent of the auditor's substantive test. So, based nga sa previous discussion natin, kung makikita nyo, na kapag kasi dapat tayo mag-conduct ng test of control at nasabi natin na effective yung internal controls ng client natin, then it is safe na mag-rely tayo sa kanilang internal controls. And kapag mag-rely tayo sa kanilang internal controls, then pwede na natin babaan yung nature, extent, and timing ng ating audit procedures. So, always remember, when we conduct substantive tests, kailangan makakuha tayo ng audit evidence. So, yung audit evidence natin, it should be appropriate and at the same time, it should be sufficient. So, meron tayong dalawang klase ng evidence. We have the underlying accounting data and corroborating information. When we talk about underlying accounting data, so it refers to the accounting records underlying the financial statements. So, this includes books of accounts, related accounting manuals, worksheets supporting cost allocations, and reconciliations prepared by the client personnel. Pag sinabi naman natin corroborating information, it supports the underlying accounting data obtained from client and other sources. So this includes naman po yung mga documents such as invoices, bank statements, purchase orders, contracts, etc. So always remember, accounting data alone cannot be considered sufficient evidence to support an opinion on the financial statements. And also remember, pagdating sa evidence, it is much better kung siya ay persuasive. Instead na siya ay objective in a sense. So, di naman kailangan na objective siya. So, meaning, di naman kailangan na siya ay close to reality. Ang mahalaga lang naman, yung ating mga evidence makukuha is, it can persuade us na talagang masasabi natin na walang material misstatement. So, balik ulit tayo sa quality ng audit evidence natin. Sabi natin, una, it should be sufficient, and then pangalawa, it should be appropriate. When we talk about sufficiency or sufficient, it pertains to the quantity. So, enough po ba or kailangan enough yung audit evidence na makukuha natin? So, when we talk about sufficiency, it refers to the amount of evidence that the auditor should accumulate. So, because of the cost-benefit consideration of the auditor does not examine all evidence available. So, kaya nga po tayo nagsasampling. So, hindi natin kasi kayang i-audit lahat unless konti lang talaga yung transactions. So, doon pa lang tayo nagko-conduct ng 100% testing. Pero kung hindi talaga kaya, then we have no choice but to use sampling. So, kukunin lang natin yung portion do sa total population. And then, syempre, yung sample na i-audit natin, it should be sufficient. Na, sufficient siya in a sense na talagang kaya natin patunayan na walang material misstatement dun sa financial statement. So, the auditor uses his judgment to determine the amount of evidence needed to support an opinion on the financial statements. So, ano na po ba yung mga factors na dapat i-consider in evaluating the sufficiency of evidence? So, una, yung competence ng evidence, yung materiality of the item being examined, yung risk involved in a particular account, pati na rin yung experience gained during the previous audit. Punta naman tayo sa appropriateness. So, kapag naman sinabi nating appropriateness, it pertains to the quality of the audit evidence and its relevance of particular assertion and its reliability. So, pag sa ating relevance, so it refers to the timeliness of evidence and its ability to satisfy the audit objective. Pag sinabi naman nating reliability, it relates naman to the objectivity of the evidence and is influenced by its source and by its nature. So, while reliability of audit evidence is dependent on individual circumstance, the following generalizations could help the auditor in assessing the reliability of audit evidence. So, always remember, yung audit evidence na obtain natin from the outside sources is more reliable than those evidence that generated internally. Siyempre, kasi kung na-generate yan internally, meaning si client yung nag-generate nun, malaki yung chance na kaya nilang i-manipulate yon. Unlike yung mga evidence na nakukuha natin from outside sources. So, ito po yung reason. That's why, mas prepare natin sa audit ng cash na mag-conduct ng bank confirmation kaysa sa bank reconciliation. So, usually, ginagamit lang naman ang bank reconciliation as either alternative testing or to supplement the first or the primary substantive testing. So, yung una nating substantive testing talaga na kinoconduct for the audit of cash is bank confirmation. Kasi yung confirmation na marireceive natin sa bank is considered as an outside source. Kaya mas reliable yon kaysa dun sa bank reconciliation report na gine-generate mismo ng client. Another thing, yung audit evidence daw po generated internally is more reliable when the related accounting and internal control systems are effective. So, of course naman. So, the moment na nakita natin na talagang maganda yung internal controls ng client natin, then, masasabi natin na, okay, pwede tayo mag-rely sa internal controls. Kaya yung mga documents na gine-generate nung app na nade-generate after gawin yung mga internal controls na to, so, pwede tayo mag-rely doon. And then, audit evidence obtained directly from the auditor is more reliable than obtained from the entity. So, ipasok ulit natin yung bank confirmation. Kasi yung bank confirmation, kinukuha natin yung details from the client. Tapos, ang ginagawa po kasi natin, ini-email natin siya sa bank and then yung response ng bank is dediretso na sa atin. So, dahil doon, mas reliable yung document o yung bank confirmation from the bank na nagko-confirm na ito talaga yung kanilang, ito talaga yung cash account na nakadeposit sa bank nila. So, another thing kung bakit siya reliable, bukod sa siya ay independent outside source, is dahil yung sagot ng bank is tayo agad yung mismong nakaka-receive. So, hindi siya dumadaan sa client. Kasi usually, yung bank confirmation, ipapadala yon na sa diretso sa office natin. So, mahirap kasi kapag yung document naman is dadaan muna sa entity. Pwedeng gagawin nila, imamanipulate nila yon kapag nakita nila na hindi favorable sa kanila yung nakikita natin doon sa document na yon. And then lastly, audit evidence in the form of documents and written representation is more reliable than oral representation. Kasi yung mga oral representations, wala yang documentary evidence. So sabi ko nga kanina, wala siyang audit trail. So dahil doon, mahirap i-substantiate or mahirap patunayan yung mga oral representations. Unlike yung mga written. Since nakasulat yun, so after ng ilang araw, hindi nila pwedeng bawiin yung kanilang representation sa ginawa. Since nakasulat yun. Unlike kapag oral, pwede nilang ilaban na, hindi ko naman nabanggit yun. Wala tayong evidence, diba? Dahil hindi naman siya nakasulat. Ang ano lang natin is sabi-sabi lang. So, mahirap patunayan yung sinabi. Always consider the cost-benefit consideration when obtaining evidence. Kasi, hindi naman pwedeng kukunin lang natin yung lahat ng tingin natin effective. Kasi, baka naman, masyado na siyang mahal. Imagine, may bayad yung audit, yung paggawa ng audit, yung pag-conduct ng audit. Baka naman sa sobrang daming cost na na-incur natin to audit that transaction is di na tayo kumikita. So, alam mo yun, na-cover niya bigla yung audit fees na dapat natin ma-receive. So, that's why the auditor's opinion to be economically useful must be formed within a reasonable period of time and based on evidence obtained at a reasonable cost. So, as a guiding rule, there should be a rational relationship between the cost of obtaining evidence and the usefulness of the information obtained. So, dahil dyan, as an auditor, we will use our professional judgment to determine yung appropriate type of evidence that should be obtained. So, always remember, ito na nga po, yung ating audit evidence, hindi siya required na dapat siya ay conclusive. So, in a sense, it is enough na persuasive yung audit evidence. Kasi kung conclusive yung ginugol natin na type ng audit evidence, then, kailangan talaga marami tayong kukunin na audit evidence. Tapos, kailangan makuha natin is yung exact talaga na information na kailangan natin. And kung gagawin natin yon, of course, it will cost a lot. Kaya enough na persuasive yung audit evidence natin rather than conclusive.